I really want to dive in a little bit into your background story because you were away from your faith for over 15 years. Tell us a little bit about that journey. What brought you back to God and how did it impact your vision for business?
Um, I grew up preacher's child. We weren't all, he wasn't always a preacher, and it was sort of his, I won't say side hobby, but he got called to it later. But he always had us in the Word. I mean, early morning, 6 o'clock, we were at the table, dining room table, in the Bible, all four of us. So grew up with the Word. Went to college, and yeah, that began the little detour. And that started it. It's I stayed gone for about 15 years, like you said. And what really brought me back was when my father passed, because there was just nothing. And, it was sudden. His passing was sudden. So it was just sort of like, okay, you took my daddy. Why did you take my daddy? And, I, I, I really wasn't aware of how, much I knew the Bible, but I wasn't, how do you say this? I wasn't taught how to inspect myself through the Bible. And by that, I mean my personality, my, my image of myself, to trust God, to know that, the promises in there are for me. To know that, just because I said I'm a Christian, I don't have to be perfect right away. All of that I did not know. And it was just sort of like slowly I built that relationship with God as I was sort of grieving my father's loss. So that road back to him was me reading the Bible and really getting in the word and learning for myself a lot of things that, we had read, but I didn't understand. And so it was getting deeper. And so for me, it informs my businesses because with Olive Grove Life, I needed to have the word in front of me. I needed to have those principles and promises in front of me so that I could keep on going day to day as a mama of three little ones. It was just sort of hard, you have three. It gets kind of hard trying to remember his word when you have somebody yelling over here and someone's yelling over here and the toys are all across the floor and you feel like I'm a hot mess and I don't like this. And it's like, no, you're loved, you're chosen. Remember, you're loved, you're chosen. Regardless of what's going on, you are loved and you're chosen. So I just had to put them up everywhere. And it was just sort of like that is sort of what sort of sent me down that path for my business. Everything comes from the Bible. It was just so important to keep the Bible in front of me, not to believe the little colloquialisms, but to trust the Bible, the actual words of the Bible.
I love that. You are loved and you are chosen. So those are powerful words. I would say, like, write those down, put them by the computer because when you have those frustrations, when you have those days where you want to quit, like they're going to happen, I promise, right?
Yes.
Like you are loved and you are chosen. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy,
No.
but you were chosen for a time as this. Now, I am curious too, like, so in business, you bring the word in, but going from, growing up kind of in a Christian home to kind of falling away for a while, making your faith your own, coming back, how has that shaped you in how you either do devotions or bring faith into your home with your three little ones?
Whew, yeah, that's interesting. I would say it was a struggle early on. I really didn't know a whole lot. Early on, well, I knew, but I didn't know. Um, and I borrowed from people. I mean, I love that the internet was there because, people have prayers written out. You could download this prayer, sign up for this email, get this prayer, get this. And I was just downloading everything and just that was how I started. And then I started making it my own and realizing, okay, we go from this to, but for me, I need this. So I'm going to switch this wording and da 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 da. And it just sort of flowed into my own special relationship with him. And as far as my kids, I think they saw me struggle, which was good. I love that. Um, and we are a one income basically family. My husband works, but early on I took sort of splurged, I guess you would say, for the devotion that went with movie Priscilla Shirar was in. She's been in so many. Um, but they had the devotions where it was focusing on your God identity.
Mm.
And I bought those two for my sons that the filmmakers had done. And then I bought one for my daughter. And we sat down together and we did those. And I was like, this is what I want. This is exactly what I want. I want us to grow it up together. And so that is just sort of how it, sort of began. And it's not perfect, trust, but, I'm just hoping I'm putting the seeds in there and God can, you know, bring the harvest when he's ready.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it means, train up a child in the way they should go. It doesn't mean they're gonna not gonna make mistakes. It doesn't mean we're not gonna make mistakes. It just means that we do our best. We try to bring that, infuse that faith into their lives so that when they start making choices, they make good choices or they come back, right? So like what you're doing there is really powerful. Now let's talk a little bit about business. So you got into business. I think Olive Grove Life was your first company here online. What got you excited about starting an online business?
I've always been business minded or wanted my own business. I think I got that from my dad. And so, for years I didn't do it, but there was a point where it was like I felt like God might be saying yes. So I sat with it for a while and then I was clear that he was saying yes. So I took this course. I probably should have done some more deep diving. But I was so excited. I just jumped right on in, created a store and this, that, and the other. And I didn't want to do face to face because my kids were at home. I didn't want to have to, I wanted another income, and for more than anything, I wanted to be able to be creative, and I thought it would be a way for me to be creative, and it was. I'm sort of like a classic girl. I like some trends, but I'm like everything trendy. So I wanted to create designs that I loved and was happy to wearing. So
I love it. Very cool. Now, I know that one thing that you're really passionate about these days, so am I, is really get supporting each other as Christian business owners because community is really huge and whatnot. Now, did that stem from just right away finding connection? Were you feeling a little lonely in online business? What made you like really see that importance of community?
the loneliness. And I did somewhere along the line, I guess it was about, I want to say almost 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I learned about bundles. And it was like, oh, this is awesome. But I'm a Christian and my business and what I'm putting out there is, Christian items. And it's like, okay, this bundle doesn't really gear towards that. And so I was looking for bundles that did that, and I didn't see any. So I did one, and it was just really hard to find people at that time. And so I was just sort of like, why is it so hard to find us? I know there's lots of us out here. Why is it so hard? And so it became really important to me to be able to support other Christian businesses and to find other Christian businesses and to encourage other Christian businesses because along the way I'd met this person or this person, and then I'd go back and they were out of business. And I was like, what happened? I'm like, oh my gosh, you had an awesome product. It wasn't just you didn't get enough support or what. And I was like, this shouldn't happen. And it just hurt my heart. So it's just sort of like, how can I help others get seen?
Mm. So good. I feel the connection. Like, I think that online can feel like a really lonely space just because you're on the computer. I mean, like I'm on Zoom all day long. I'm not lonely in that way, but at the same time, it's the connection of like growing with others who are right in the midst of where I'm at in my journey, right? Like just being able to lean on each other. on our hard days. Like I think about that when like in a marriage relationship, like sometimes my husband is not like the hugest fan of me, but I'm like, I love you, like, and then it's the opposite, right? So we keep each other going. Like if I'm having a bad day, hopefully he's having a good day so that
Yeah.
we can support each other in that way. And I feel that that happens in online business too. When you find those connections, when you find those people that you can grow with, it's really, really powerful. And it helps us when the going gets tough so that we can keep going. We don't want to quit, right? So connection is huge. Tell me kind of a few things. I want to kind of go from, let's talk about connection, how to find like people and networking, but then I want to talk about like borrowing others' audiences and like growing visibility wise together. But like, do you have any tips for finding others who are like-minded, who maybe complement what we do in business so that we can find those kind of business besties to be able to grow with?
I will say keep searching because I was thinking about this today. I am actually in three different Christian groups, um, yours being included. Red Hot Accountability Club, join it. It's
Woo, woo.
delightful. Um, um, and I love that, I have this weekly touch point with various other Christian businesses. But I would say keep searching and don't feel bad if you decide to leave a group. You will find another one. Don't just try and make it work. Because I've been in some where it just didn't feel quite right. They're lovely people, wonderful people, God loving, church going people, but they just weren't my people. And when you feel at home, it makes all the difference. So I would say just keep searching. I hate to say this, but I found my people on Facebook.
I love it. That's okay. You can.
But that's the whole thing of sort of the directory is I'm trying to create a place where we can come together and we can find each other a little easier. It makes it easier for you to find your besties.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said, one of the things you said was really powerful. Don't stay in a group just to stay in a group. Like find different groups to be a part of. That's like how I found my business besties was in a couple different entrepreneurial memberships and groups. Facebook groups are totally great for that. You find those connections, but make sure that that group kind of fits, aligns with what you're doing, aligns with your values, really is helping you grow, not just like being in the group to be there, right? So, but taking the time to seek out those networking places, the places that you can really grow together is really going to be important. Like I remember I started in this membership. Now I'm like a success coach inside. Like my biggest client, I work for her now in her membership, but that's where I started was in her membership way back when. And I've met like two of my business besties there. We still mastermind together to this day, 5 years later.
Mhm.
And it's like been such a great experience, but you never know who you're going to connect with or when.
Uh-huh.
But if we're not actively seeking it out, we're not going to find those connections either. So that's why that's really, really important. Now, visibility wise, I know you and I think alike when it comes to collaboration. I love collaboration. Like, I think I was just having a conversation the other day going, I really don't believe that anyone's my competitor, even if they're doing the same thing as me, because they don't do it like I do it. Like their message
Exactly.
might be pretty similar, but I'm going to speak to somebody who is only going to hear it from me versus they're going to speak to someone maybe in my audience that will resonate more with them. And I don't care. All I care
Mhm.
about is that we're helping others grow. And for me, like it's goal planning, business strategy. So those are the things that I'm working on helping others with. But I don't see people as competition. I see them as connection. And so I'm all about that. So collaboration is huge in my business. That's where I find a lot of the visibility. But that's essentially like borrowing someone else's audience. You can do this from zero. You don't have
Mhm.
to have anyone in your audience yet, and you still can go add value to someone else's. So I know you talk about this being one of the fastest ways to grow, to get visibility. Can you unpack this a little bit in what that's looked like for your business and how you help others do the same thing?
For me, the bundles was an eye opener. The borrowing of other people's audiences was there, and then that was that was amazing. being able to just, submit something to somebody else, and people sign up for it if they like it. It's great. It's a low lift option, and you meet some wonderful people along the way, usually. Um, I will say another thing I like to do is what's called lead magnet swaps. Those are another way to get to know people and sort of put your name out there and, see, I usually, I will say, I usually sign up to a person's email list for a little while before I say, hey, I reach out and say, I love what you're doing. And, I would love to, swap. I think your audience would love what I have and da, da, da. So that is, I think, visibility through collaboration sort of really should be a really good model for us as Christian businesses, because we should be about unity.
Mm.
And, I somebody asked if like the directory has, a limit on how many people can be in one area. And I said, no, we're sort of like the bread aisle. There's 15 different wheat breads, and they're all getting purchased. And they're getting purchased because when we step into our unique voice that God has given us, like you said, we don't have competition, and we're allowed to bloom. And when we bloom, we're going to attract who is meant for us. And so the collaborations can be that much stronger, and we're building the kingdom that much faster because we come together. And when we're united, it's just it will be just shocking what we can do when we all come together and we stop seeing each other as competitors.
Yeah, I love it. I know I always say I should have a business of just connecting people because I just love connecting others with, and I'm like, I just love growing other people's businesses. Honestly, it's so great. But I think that's when we have that mindset of servanthood instead of like, how do I get that next sale? Servanthood is what's sowing seeds, and your seeds are going to come up if you water them, and you water them and with collaboration, with connection. So I know you've mentioned a little bit about the Kingdompreneur Directory. Let's talk about how that came to life. Like, what was the purpose and mission behind it as you built it? And tell us a little of what it is, so others, listeners, can hear what is the Kingdompreneur Directory? How does that help in collaboration?
You have a podcast that talked about when your plate is full and you still want to do more. That made me just giggle, because my plate was full. I had just signed up with my brand strategist, a marketing coach, and I was excited to get Olive Grove Life just figured out and functioning and just tip-top shape, and go straight ahead with that. And I had bought the thing I needed for the directory, but I was just sort of like, okay, I'm not going to worry about that later. But it just kept coming back up and coming back up. And it was just sort of like God was just sort of like, okay, I think now's the time. I'm like, but I'm focused here. I really don't want to be there. And yeah, so it was just it the purpose of it is to connect Christian e-commerce businesses with Christian consumers so that we can grow and we can shine brighter. Because, John 10:10 is we're supposed to have an abundant life. And that doesn't always mean financially. But I think about the fact that there are so many things, so many of us Christian businesses who have things that are dear to our heart. And if we're able to make money in our business, we can sort of fund some of those things that are dear to our heart. For me, it's homelessness and food insecurity.
Hmm.
And it's just sort of like, those are the things that just break my heart. And it's like all of us have something that breaks our heart. And if we could start giving more to that, think of the ramifications of that, have the waves that, just ripple effect. And so it wasn't what I wanted to do. Let me be clear about that. It wasn't at all what I wanted to do. I wanted to find somebody who had done it. But God was clear. He was like, "This is yours to do. This is what I want you to do." So it is a directory of Christian businesses You do have to agree to a statement of faith, and it's online. Right now, we're just in our beginning phase, and it will help with collaboration because it will make it easier for you to find others to collaborate with. If we're all in one central location, it makes it so much easier. And I will say, I do have some plans down the road for making it even easier, like an off social media group with, making it so much easier for us to find people to do who want to be podcast guests, people who want to host, be in the bundles, people who, you want to do a swap with, all of that. I want to make it easier for us so we can do our jobs, our passion projects faster so we can get back to our mission fields of our families or whatever else it might be so we can have that joy effect because sometimes we're spending all this time trying to grind and hustle and it's like no, no, go have fun. God's got you. Go have fun.
So good. So good. So I can see how that directory will be able to find each other. Now I'm in the directory. I'm super excited about it as well. But we can find each other to collaborate with, or even like somebody, I think also partnering with each other. And if, somebody, let's say I'm looking for a gardener, for example, or garden help, then I could look in the directory and find someone who does that I know is Christian based. And I want to help them out in their small business or whatnot. And then somebody finds me as a business strategist. And, so I can see how that works and intertwines in either just finding people to work with or who the help that we want, that we go look there first, but also collaborate with. But then outside of that, you had mentioned also that it's so that people can find you as well. So, what are some things that you're doing in your company to get that directory out there for the consumer?
Um, uh, Applying for bundles. Now there seems to be a lot more Christian bundles, which is wonderful. I am applying for bundles. I do have a game plan of doing some sponsorships for various people's emails. Um, we are on social media, doing some things there, doing some giveaways there, and I will do some giveaways at some future point. Um, yeah, we have a goal to do a bundle at least once a year, possibly summits. Um, I'm praying, God just really blesses and really fills it to overflowing, in which case, we could do a different type of focus summit monthly if we wanted to, just because there would be that many, authorities within it. So, yeah, because
Hmm.
my goal isn't just to encourage people to shop with us, it's to encourage them to grow. It's not just, I mean, we're servants. If we come with a servant's heart, we want to serve them. And so part of that serving is helping them to grow. So I want to have free things for them to learn whatever they want to learn that we can teach them and, make that available to them. So
I like it. So it's a connector of connectors in many ways.
yes.
So very cool. I want to hear too, like looking back at the lessons that you've learned, pivots, the breakthroughs since starting your business years ago. What would you tell the version of yourself who was just getting started?
Along the way, I definitely grew my trust in God. But I think a lot of times, or sometimes, I sort of went before Him, or was trying to figure things out on my own, or trying to force things to happen. And, whether that's spending advertising money or spending things on, this course or that course. And it's not the course necessarily. It's, I needed more God. I needed to let Him guide me.
Mm,
So it was just sort of like, slow down, stop, be still, listen to Him, just listen for His voice. Yes, He takes His sweet time, but it's worth it. It is totally worth it. So yeah, I would say slow down because that was
slow down. Love that one. Now, also, like how, when you said like slow down, listen to God's voice, wait for him, what is that like for you? How do you hear his voice best?
He likes to wake me up. Or talk like right before I go to sleep, which I'm like, God, I mean, I don't have any paper. Why are we talking now? So I usually get my phone and do notes app. Yeah, it's definitely in the quiet. I've learned to make space for the quiet. A lot of times in my car, I try to, keep up with the podcast and this and that and this, or another sermon or another, praise worship. But sometimes I realize, no, let's just not do anything. Let's just let there be quiet in case
Mm.
he wants to say something or, reiterate something. And for me, it's about making that space for him. Um, I've taken up gardening again, and it's just everything out there. Just I see him everywhere out there. So that also is another space where I'm like,
So good. So good. Now, one of my favorite questions to ask as we wrap up is, what does pursuing goals God's way mean to you?
being okay with looking silly, and not doing things the typical way.
Mm.
Because there's a way I could build everything I've built, but that's not the way he told me to build it. And if I want his blessing on it, I need to do it his way. And so, yeah, being okay with looking a little silly, because I definitely feel silly. Um, because right now I'm looking for partnerships and things, and it's like I'm emailing these people who have these massive groups, and it's like, oh my gosh, God, are you sure about this? And he's like, I want you to put yourself out there. You need to put yourself out there. And I feel totally silly about it, but it's like, it's not mine. I'm just stewarding it. So doing it God's way says, I give it to you. It's
Mm.
yours. I'm just stewarding it. I'm going to do the best I absolutely can. But here it is. It's yours. Do with it what you will.